So today I'm talking with Jenn Walters, who is a certified fitness and group trainer, and she runs the site fitbottomgirls.com, which is an exercise site. But Jenn, what I really love about your site is that you get into motivation and you get into being proud of your body when it's fit and strong, no matter what shape it
Heck yeah.
is.
That's what we're all
Awesome.
about.
It's so good to see that because so many trainers focus on the visual because that is very motivating, but it's also motivating to work with people who understand that some people just won't get to that shape.
Yeah, definitely. And something that we're really passionate about on Fit Bottom Girls, and something that we kind of always talk about is how much working out is kind of helps develop your inside as much as your outside. And a lot of times the outside is just a byproduct.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I always think of exercise as like a gateway drug. It like opens, it like feels good and it releases endorphins, and then it just like opens up your life to all kinds of different possibilities.
Yeah, that's awesome. So besides just being fit, what kinds of results have you seen from making exercise a regular part of your life?
Um, Exercising regularly, besides the physical aspect, I would say would just be a lot of focus and clarity and happiness in a lot of different ways. Like with those endorphins pumping, I like to work out in the morning. And so when I'm done with my workout is usually like my most productive time of the day. Like give me my cup of coffee and I'm good. Like I can write, I'm focused. I can like clean my house and not be like upset about it. Like just be like, hey, I'm happy and cleaning. So it just brings a lot, and that's something that anyone who's like looking to start working out, where I was always just like, you can't just focus on the physical changes because yes, the physical changes will happen, but that'll just be a byproduct of so many other great things that'll happen before that that you might just miss if you're only focusing on, the number on the scale or your pant size or whatever. Not to mention all the kinds of other like health benefits from exercise. You know,
Yeah, absolutely. So many girls focus just on the weight when they first get started. What
yeah.
was kind of the biggest challenge that you found when you first started working out, and how did you get over it?
Oh gosh. Well, I've been out since, I started playing tennis when I was a kid, and then I played during high school. And then during high school, I started kind of going to the gym and started lifting weights. And then I taught aerobics, group exercise, and started doing personal training in college. So I've been at this a long time, and it's something that I love. And I know that I'm not 100% normal. Most people don't feel that way about it. But
Okay.
in my time where I have been injured, I ran a marathon a couple of years ago, and I got injured after the marathon and had to take about, oh gosh, it was like 5 or 6 months off where I couldn't run. I couldn't really do any cardio. I couldn't do any squats or lunges. The only thing I could really do was like crunches on the floor, which
Mm.
don't really get me psyched up. So, um, and for me, exercising was my way to really de-stress. And so during that time, I didn't have those happy like endorphins coming in, and I didn't have my mechanism to de-stress. And I was like sad, and it was really hard to get back into it once my body was ready. And I ended up going through physical therapy and doing different training and stuff. But once I got back, I literally went from being able to run a marathon to not being able to run a mile, like down
Wow.
my block. And it was a huge ego check for me. And then B, it was like looking back on it, it gave me a lot of perspective for people that come in and they are out of shape and it feels really terrible the first time and you don't want to continue doing it because why would you want to feel that terrible all the time? Like, what are these crazy people who work out all the time thinking? But I knew the inside. I knew the other side of where I was going if I stuck with it. So I just kept running a little bit farther each week and a little bit farther each week. And then after that, now I probably only run like a 5K or something, but now I can go out and comfortably run and I'm like back in my groove and everything and it feels really good. But I think you just have to keep at it so that you know that it's going to get better and it will feel good, but you got to stick with it. And if you fall off, it's hard to get back on.
Hmm. Okay, so small steps. Is that kind of the main recommendation that you have for people when
Yes.
they're finding challenge?
Yes, little bits at a time. You can't really think about like, you know, if you're I'm trying to think of a good analogy here. Like if you're climbing a mountain and you've never climbed a mountain before, you're probably not going to go tackle Everest.
Right.
Maybe you should start with a rolling hill, somewhere like in Kansas or something. I don't know. There are actually rolling hills in Kansas, I promise. Um, but you want to start like little steps and then gain momentum as you get those steps. That way you can kind of pat yourself on the back, feel success, and then keep going and keep propelling. Because I always say that healthy living, exercise, and all of healthy living, healthy eating, everything is kind of a journey. It's kind of a path. It's kind of an evolution. So you can start here. And instead of thinking that over here is like so far away and so scary and seems like it would be such a huge change that you can't do and you can't sustain, you just make itty bitty little spots and you just keep along your own healthy journey and healthy path until you get where you're really comfortable and you feel really good.
That's great advice. What kind of, I guess, plan or schedule would you suggest for beginners in making those small steps? What kind of exercises, what kind of training would you recommend?
For straight up beginners who are coming from like, a really sedentary lifestyle from the couch, I would say the first thing you need to do is to get out a piece of paper and write down like 5 activities that you enjoy. And it doesn't have to be exercise. It can be dancing, it can be cleaning, gardening, playing with your kids, walking the dog, whatever. Write those down and then make a goal to try to do those at least a couple times a week. Right. And it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't even have to be for that long. Like just set a low goal that you can meet because part of you need to start to develop that self-efficacy, that confidence that you can do this and you want to do this. And you want to
Mm-hmm.
start to see exercise as something that adds to your life, doesn't take away from your life. So if you can find those activities that bring you joy and you want to do them, then most of the hard work is already done. And once you start to get moving, it's kind of goes back to that healthy evolution and healthy journey thing I was
Mm-hmm.
talking about. Once you start to get moving, then it becomes more of a habit. Then you can start to be like, okay, well, what can I do more that's going to take me to a little bit more of a fit level? So maybe you go from walking the dog to run walking the dog and just putting in a couple like 1 minute, jogging intervals or something. Not anything like too terrible, but just a little bit more. And ideally, you want to work up to the point where you're doing about 3 to 5 days of cardio for 20 to 60 minutes, plus a couple days of strength training because strength training is great. Um, Maybe working with a trainer for the first time just to kind of get the basics down on your form because you don't want to get injured. You want to do things correctly. And then stretching, just about every day if you can while you're watching TV or try to work in some yoga. But you don't have to start there because sometimes starting there starts to develop that mindset where you're either doing it perfect or you're not doing it and you're completely sedentary. So something is always better than nothing.
Yeah, right. And I love your perspective of looking at exercise as adding something to your life because so many people just dread going to the gym or
Yes.
going for a run or whatever.
Yes, life is too short to be like, "Ugh, do something you hate."
Okay, so you mentioned a mix of cardio, strength, and stretching. Most people seem to focus on cardio when they're looking for fat loss. So how does strength training play into weight loss?
Strength training is awesome for weight loss. I love strength training.
Me too.
And cardio is great. I mean, cardio feels good. A lot of people enjoy it. It's a good stress reliever. But really, when you get down to it, it's the weight training and the strength training, excuse me, that's going to change your body. Um, like physically change your body. If you look at a person and you were trying to visualize what a pound of fat versus what a pound of muscle looks like on the body in physical form, a pound of fat is about the size of a grapefruit. Okay.
Okay.
A pound of fat is the size of, or a pound of muscle, rather, is like the size of a small orange. So, would you rather have lots of oranges on your body or lots of grapefruits on your body?
Oh, definitely oranges.
Right. So the moral of that story is you're not going to build that much muscle from doing cardio, although it's great for your heart and great for so many other reasons. When you do the strength training, you're going to build up that muscle, so you're going to get smaller. Don't get obsessed with the number on the scale. It's not worth it. Look at that body fat percentage instead, or those inches around your body to get a true idea of how small you really are getting. And strength training, it also does really a lot of the same good things that cardio does, and that it'll help lower your blood pressure. It'll help manage your blood sugar levels, so prevent diabetes, increase bone density. I mean, there's so many good things in addition to just the body composition makeup. And a lot of people will and this is what I do a lot of, is kind of like boot camps or circuit training where you
Yeah.
have where you're doing strength training and you're getting your heart rate up. So you're doing also a little bit of cardio with it. So you're kind of getting a 2-for-1 workout, doing everything at the same time.
I love those kinds of workouts. They're so much fun too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of women tend to be scared of strength training because they're worried that if they start lifting weights, they're going to start looking like a male bodybuilder. How do you respond to that kind of fear?
That's my favorite fear. Because it's so easy to debunk.
Uh-huh.
Um, it's not unless you will not bulk up and look like a giant female bodybuilder unless you either go on steroids or take some crazy supplement and spend like 6 to 8 hours in the gym lifting really, really heavy. And I'm not talking about like 10, 15, 20 pound dumbbells. I'm talking about like really big ones, like the ones you can barely pick up. That's what I'm talking about. So, and when we were talking about strength training and how great it is, if you're only lifting, 2, 3, 4, 5 pounds and you're doing tons of reps, what you're actually doing is training your muscles at more of an endurance level rather than a strength level. So, in
Mhm.
order for you to increase your muscle mass, you have to go a little bit heavier. When you lift weights, you actually create little micro tears in the muscle fibers. Um, and this is good. This is a good thing. It sounds scary, but it's actually a good thing. And then when you give your body time to recover, your body goes back in and through a process called protein synthesis, it weaves those strands back together and makes your muscles stronger and a little bit larger. So
Mhm.
a little bit larger is good, but remember when we're talking about, how big fat looks versus how big muscle looks. So,
Right.
um, and I mean, the fact of the matter is that women just don't have enough testosterone for that protein synthesis for it to get really big, because that is fueled by testosterone. So
Mhm.
unless you have some sort of rare genetic abnormality, you're not going to bulk up. It's physically impossible for a woman to.
Yeah, okay. So girls' muscles just work differently than guys' muscles. They build differently.
Yes, and
Cool.
muscle is sexy. So girls should not be afraid of a little bit of muscle.
Awesome. Now, what about plateaus? When someone hits a plateau in their training or in their weight loss, what can they do to break that?
Good question. I think that one they have to do something different. And I
Hmm.
think that depending on the person and the situation, that's usually one of two things. Either it means taking time off,
Okay.
um, or going harder. So it's either going easier or going harder. If say they've jumped into a workout routine and they kind of went like 0 to 100 like really fast, and they've been like working out all the time and you have changed their diet and are really really pushing it, they may actually be not totally overtraining, but they may just be fatigued from the exercise and their body may need a couple days to recover. And sometimes our minds just need time to recover too. We
Hmm.
get sick of doing the same thing, so we need to do something new. And sometimes taking a few days off helps you to kind of miss exercise and miss moving and make you realize why you don't just sit around the house all day, why it feels good to move. Um, and then on the flip side of that, after taking a few days off and kind of getting that motivation, and I'm not talking like a week off, I'm talking like a day or two,
Okay.
that because you don't want to completely get off of your habit. But then, switching up with new activities so that you start to challenge your body a little bit more, that'll use a kickstart something. If you've been doing the same workout and you're not really feeling particularly like fatigued, you're just not going anywhere, then it's probably time to up the intensity or switch up your workout. And that's
Hmm.
when, if you haven't worked with a personal trainer before, a personal trainer can be great because they can show you new stuff. But if you don't have the money for a personal trainer, you can go to a new group exercise class, get a new workout DVD from even the library. It's free. Um, and then, or even, if you haven't been doing intervals, add in some intervals. Or if you have been doing interval work, change your interval work, or make sure you work at a higher intensity. So the bottom line is just do something different. And then also, the other thing that I would mention would be to take a look at the rest of your lifestyle, because maybe it's not just the exercise that you're plateauing from. Maybe it's your diet that's a little bit off, or maybe you've slipped a little bit, or maybe you're not sleeping, or maybe you're really stressed out because cortisol, when you release cortisol from stress, it can do crazy things to the body. So look at your whole lifestyle and your whole wellness plan in addition to your exercise.
Yeah. Those are some awesome tips, and I maybe wouldn't have thought about taking a rest day or two as a solution to plateauing, so that's really neat to hear. Now you mentioned overtraining, and I've seen some articles on your site about overtraining. It is a serious issue, but sometimes when I hear too much about overtraining, I wonder, is it just creating a reason for people not to be motivated to work out as hard as they could? So where do you draw the line between getting really good workouts in and overtraining?
That's another good question. Be like, oh, I'm not going to work out today. I'm overtraining, you know. Um, I think that rest days are important. I think you're probably not overtraining if you're taking 1 to 2 days of recovery off a week. That, I mean,
Okay.
it's just not really hard. If you look at it from a clinical perspective, most people aren't technically overtraining unless they're like a professional athlete and are doing like hours and hours and hours in the gym. But that doesn't mean if you're a beginner and you go like all out that you can't start to kind of feel fatigued from that and your body needs a little bit more time off.
Mhm.
One of the easiest ways to tell if you're just using overtraining as an excuse or if it's real is to take your heart rate in the morning, your resting heart rate before you get out of bed. Take it for a few days, take it for like a minute, count how many beats you have. If it starts to go up, as you get fitter, your heart rate will decrease because your heart is getting actually stronger. So it takes less beats to pump your blood around your body. That's kind of the definition of fitness, really. But if you find that your heart rate starts to rise when you think you're overtraining in the morning for that same minute, then that can indicate that you are overtraining and your body is kind of doing the opposite of getting fitter. Now it's having to actually work harder because it's spending all that time trying to repair your muscles and everything. So if you see your heart rate start to go up for a couple days, then you probably need to take some time off or just do something really light, like easy stretching, easy yoga, easy walking. I'm kind of a fan of active recovery days where you don't just, watch movies all day, but you kind of get up and do some stuff and try not to sit down so much. And then if you think that you are using overtraining as an excuse, then you just need to get up and go.
Yeah. All right, Jen. So for those people who are curling up on the couch and just don't feel like exercising, what are some things that you do to motivate yourself or other people?
Um, yeah, because even I sometimes don't want to go to the gym. Even I'm like, oh, I'm tired. Maybe I should do this instead. Yesterday was pretty hard. Maybe I need a day off. Um, Two of my favorite things to do when I'm feeling less than motivated for a workout are to play music. So I always have like a workout playlist on my computer and on my iPod. So if I put that on, I kind of like blare that on my speakers.
Mm,
That usually starts to kind of get things going. I think there's plenty of research too on how like music actually pumps you up. So do that. And actually, there's some music that I only like. A lot of my guilty pleasure music I only listen to when I'm working out. So I have like this brain association with it. So
gotcha.
if I hear, like if I hear like a couple Gwen Stefani songs and like a Paul Abdul song, then my brain starts to be like, maybe we should go for a run. That's what we do when we listen to this music. Um,
That's
and then
awesome. I have Gwen on my workout playlist too.
I love Gwen. I do listen to Gwen outside of working out, though. I listen to a lot of No Doubt outside of working out. But my other tip that I have is to put on your tennis shoes. Like even if you don't feel like you're working out, is to just
Mhm.
put them on and put on your workout clothes, and then. I mean, you're probably not gonna like put on your full workout clothes and then sit on the couch. That's
Very
pretty
true.
to do. Like you're like, well, maybe I should at least do a few minutes of something, or promise yourself, okay, I'll just do 5 minutes, and then at the end of the 5 minutes, usually feel good enough to keep going. Getting going is always the hardest part. So if you can get yourself going, you're usually golden.
Yeah, definitely. Gets you one less barrier to starting, right? If you get in the clothes, maybe do a warm up. That's an awesome tip.
Exactly.
Cool. Well, anything else you want to share today?
No, I mean, great questions and great information, and thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for chatting. It's been great getting your thoughts on these things.